All right, guys. So the first, just for the recording, first basic questions. What is blockchain technology node? And I think a little bit of like your history and getting into blockchain and the node technology. Where did the idea of debt come from and the whole ecosystem, and then the association, correlation between debt and IX?
Okay. So if you're here, you should know basic principles, at least of blockchain. But blockchain is nothing more than a ledger. It can be used in all kinds of business applications. You can use it in medical fields for tracking certain medications, all the way to supply chain with Walmart or Target or any shopping grocery store, basically for X products came from this warehouse all the way to this store for recall purposes. The biggest benefit, I believe, in the world today is blockchain technology. I think it will change everything. We are using one application of that. We are doing that by producing specific commodities projects that then support the underlying currency that we were using for our project. So grow, natural gas, explorer, aluminum. And the idea of debt actually came from the purpose of coming to Africa, which my family has been here for almost 15 years. We came here to discover gold. Everybody had a gold fever, and I was in the financial market at the time. I'm very conservative. I ran a large investment fund, and it ended up getting me here with a group of guys that wanted to go out there and explore. They wanted to go out there and flip gold to start with and then mine it. That didn't go great, to be honest with you. So I came to Africa, and I wanted to figure out, A, where my money went, and B, is I wanted to kind of see what value was here. And being here for the first year with my father and brother, we really found how much wealth was here. I'm not talking about wealth being dollars, I'm talking about wealth of resources in general, wealth of workforce that really does want to level up. They want to produce, they want to be their own business owners. The wealth of education that could be brought here and actually uplift a culture. And so we'd go out to these villages, and some of the villages praised us. They were very happy for us to be there. Others were very skeptical by far. Building those relationships throughout the first few years of being here was critical to how Debtbox formed. We got into gold mining here. We'd go into small villages, and we'd want to bring in heavy equipment, an excavator, dump trucks, bulldozers, front loaders. And in the small villages, you basically have, we'll call them micro kings, they're nanas, or chiefs. They're named different things, different around the cultures, but they're nanas. That's what they're called here. The nanas then report to the district community, and then those report to the kings of the regions. So it's very, and that's a bloodline. So it's basically royalty all the way down. The purpose of that bloodline is to basically take care of the people. At the end of the day, you have to have a direct source to the people. And the Nana's job is to protect the people and to provide and make sure that they are fed and they have an opportunity to survive. And so Nanas are very protective when you get into, especially small villages where they've been abused a little bit by other countries coming in, other people coming in. My shade, Chinese, Russians, it doesn't matter. Everybody sees the gold. They're missing the most valuable resource in this country. It's the people. And so when you physically get to understand that, and the Nana believes you, which is another thing, and that's building trust and going through there, then the vision starts forming. So we'd bring an excavator in and about 5 pieces of equipment, and the Nana would say, no, they don't want the equipment to come in. So the equipment comes in, it actually puts people out of work. That's their thinking. They think that because a bulldozer can move 4 times as much load than a headpan. So if people are getting paid by a headpan, 20 cents a headpan for every headpan they bring in, and an excavator comes in and can do a 3-ton, 4-ton, 5-ton bucket, they believe in their head that I am taking away pay dollars. I'm trying to make their life easier. I'm actually not trying to take away pay dollars. There's other jobs I can put them to do to make more than 20 cents a headpan. And getting that education through one village, then spread to another village, and then spread to another village, and then spread to another village. It's not easy. We didn't start at the top and get this principle basically brought down. We started at each individual village, which is why we can go into the villages you saw yesterday and to grow. We've never seen the regional king for that district. We've seen the Nanas. We've seen the kings of the region, but we have not actually been able to get all the way through all the nanas in certain provocations. The country's huge, but word of mouth is. And so that's probably the best way to kind of describe what we believe is the value of DebtBox to the people. What I believe the value of DebtBox is to myself and to the communities around the world are we can all work together to change the supply chain of commodities. That's the goal. The goal is to basically cut out a lot of production inefficiencies in this country to bring more value to the underground people that are doing it. I'll get through an example with Grow specifically in a second, and you guys will see very clearly of where that value is derived from and how it's no more dollars basically spent on an end product. There's just more value basically being brought to where the product was grown. So back in gold, we finally convinced the Nana to bring in one excavator. We'd dig up all the dirt, get all the topsoil off. That's not where the gold is anyway. Get down to bedrock. It's about 5 feet down. Then he still wanted the head pounds brought into the mining concessions to hand wash, hand clean, and sluice box. And so after we got him to convince one excavator, then we convinced him a dump truck's better. But here's what we would do. We would put more of the workers to work, and we'd bring in more equipment so that now, instead of carrying a head pan, you too can sit underneath a tent and wash soil. You don't have to do the head pans anymore, and we'll pay you more for it. We'll just have more of them. Because now we're moving dirt more efficiently. Now I need more of them to kind of go. It's a supply chain. Then we got to that point, it was like, what if we bring in a bigger piece of equipment? Well, then all these smaller equipments would be out of use and you have all the people. Well, perfect. Can we get you now to go farm on the property we're not using right now? Can we keep you working? But since the gold is making so much money, can we pay you more money for farming because we're using your land? So this kind of basically grew into a whole supply chain that we're basically dealing with gold specifically. This was about 3 years of my brother, myself, and my father being in country, basically building this out. I've got 2 more partners that are here. They are well known at this point in time. You have Roy and Chad. They're on the physical side now. They are here in country a lot more than we are. We basically took the supply chain mechanisms and together we looked at how to bring commodities to the next generation. Crypto meets commodities. It's actually pretty simple in our slogan. This has basically been over a decade. Everybody's like, DebtBox launched last November. No, we didn't. All the resources you see today, and we'll see this week, and all of the stuff that is backing Grow, natural gas, it's all here. Now, we have other locations outside of here, but every single project we have on our blockchain is here in this country. It's the most unique place. Why did we come to Ghana and not somewhere else? Every one of our projects is here. Nat gas, oil, Grow, aluminum, Explore solves all of it. All of these things basically combined. Even the projects we are yet to release are coming out of this country. So we are investing in people. We are investing in supply chain fixes and inefficiencies to kind of get us. I hope that gives you a little bit more understanding of why we did what we did and what we're doing. So now getting into more of blockchain in general about how we do our things. We don't have investors in our company. We sell software just like every other software company or giant like Microsoft, Adobe, Apple. Our software just allows you to access the blockchain and you get rewards for helping support this ecosystem. Those rewards only get rewarded to you when you're running your software. Right now that's cloud hosting and you're putting it on. In the next 30 to 45 days, you guys will be running your own software and putting it out. Why are we doing this? It is costly to support all these licenses right now. It's a period of time to basically get us up and going. We've been doing that. That costs us about $600,000+ a month in our costs. But for you, it's a few dollars. So we're putting that there so we can use the $600,000 to continue growing out debt. We wanted to do it for the first year to give everybody the ability to see what value this is. I think we're well past that. I think you guys can see the value of why to have this license on and why to continue running it. So you guys will get some information on that probably actually on Friday about what's coming out. You guys get a sneak peek of what's coming in the next 2 weeks before anybody else. The other process of what we do is we look at, we'll talk about Explorer now, about bringing new projects on. Everyone wants to know the value of Explorer, why it's spiking, what's happening, why does that one go higher than the other? The reality is everything's going to go higher if people buy, everything's going to go lower if people sell. It doesn't matter if this is a stock or Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's just the amount of sellers or the amount of buyers. That's just economics. I don't control that. I wish I did. I would tell everybody it's going to go to $300 tomorrow, and I hope to goodness it does. But I can't control that. It could go to a penny tomorrow. It could go to 7 zeros and a 1. I can't control that either. What I can do is put in something that's never been done in crypto, which is the first revolutionary product that has true live assets with revenues that go and burn. There's not a single other token in the world that does that. That's what's revolutionary for us. We have deflationary to take tokens out. We have halvings. We have deflationary with taxes. We have revenues coming in and burning. No other token ever in history has ever been done this way. This is us. This is what makes us different. This is why black gold did get a 50, even today at the lower off all-time highs, we're 56,000% higher than when that token launched. It's been a year. Do I get upset when people come to me and say, well, yeah, but this license is only making $10 a day? If you're in crypto, do you understand an $8,000 to $9,000 Bitcoin miner that will cost you $200 a month to run will make you $3.80 a day in Bitcoin? And that's if Bitcoin's at $20,000, which right now it's not. I know that because we used to mine a lot of Bitcoin. Our power bills were over $1 million a month. Bitcoin, Ethereum just changed because of how hard it is to mine. We created what's called synthetic proof of work. The synthetic proof of work solves the problem with high data-driven storage on the blockchain, and it makes it so you can actually run these things anywhere on any device around the world. It takes the major power bill off of mining, off the proposition of mining. It allows households to mine instead of industry. It allows me to get into partnerships with Joe and have him push it out to the world without saying, you can only do this if you have a commercial piece of property with a power transformer, and by the way, you have to make sure that you have X amount of kilowatts going to that transformer. This is something that's never been done. We are doing that. We do it based off the education and years of background in this space, and time and effort on the ground. I would not be able to put together the gold project, silver project, without my two partners, but my family being here and actually digging with shovels. This isn't something that we sit behind a desk. This is something we have to know every single bit. It's like we are farmers. We have grows physically in Colorado. Why? I wanted to know what it was like to put a seed in the ground, what it actually takes, what are the problems, how do we solve these problems? What do? I do everything. But I don't do it for very long. I do everything to know it. I do everything so I can look at it. I do everything so how do we break it? How do we figure out how to make it better? Then, is it profitable? Does it do what we're trying to do? Does it help the people? Does it help us? Does it help the ecosystem? Those are three things I ask every single day. If it doesn't do those three, okay, we're going to find something else. We're going to go somewhere else because that's what we have to do, because the people running the licenses have to be excited about the project. The ecosystem has to thrive. At the end of the day, the people that are working on the end of the day, there has to be a value for them to be part of us. We want to be able to get eventually into all these without any monetary process. I don't want to have to buy royalties. I don't want to have to sit there and give people stuff anymore. I want people to come to me purely because they are so excited about being part of Debtbox, and this is already starting to happen 1 year in. People are offering us royalties for nothing. They want to use the Debtbox name and the tokenization we're doing in certain assets, oil, gas primarily. They want it because they want to be able to say, we are the first blockchain to actually deliver results with revenue. These are countries. These are large Fortune 500 companies. These are not mom and pop issues. So when you start getting that type of attraction, it really helps the cannonball start going faster and faster and faster. Why I got involved with Joe, and the beauty about the partnership is a lot of convincing. I started going with this product down registered investment advisor route. Investment banks, they all have money. I'm already helping the people on the farmer level. And in my head, I was like, okay, we've helped the people. We've got the supply chain fixed. Let's go to the big boys and get the money. That's where the money is. Let's just go there. And my brother and I looked at a lot. I brought him on as some consulting for Debtbox. And I talked with my family quite a bit. I brought my partners, Roy and Shad, on. We looked at it. And how do we get this to more people? How can we help people that are in areas that we're not actually growing? We're not mining. We're not doing the drilling. How can we spread this wider? Well, my brother had an ingenious idea, and he said, take this to multi-level marketing. And that was about a 5-second conversation. I said, no. Ironically, we were being courted by some of the largest multi-level marketing companies in the world. I'm in Utah. Wasatch Front, trust me, about everybody's there. People saw what we were doing and immediately started calling me. A lot of our nodes are actually with board members of other companies that are by far larger than anything here in this room. Millions of distributors. The reality is, we weren't ready for them. We wanted to grow with somebody. I didn't want to deal with a board. I wanted to be able to deal with somebody that I can have a common conversation with, we can have common goals, and we can leave a 5 to 10 minute meeting and have a handshake or have a disagreement, but one way or another, tomorrow we're going to get up and talk to each other. We're going to have to figure out this out. When you deal with a board, I am the controller of DebtBox. I have a debt council to basically give me good counsel to make sure we're doing it right. We've instituted voting for our node holders so that now I can get communities to start going. Why are we not fully decentralized? We have farms to run. We're not like any other blockchain project either. We cannot be fully decentralized. As much as I would love to say we are 100% decentralized, that will never happen unless I decide to mine and grow stuff in the metaverse. And there's no money there. So let's not do that. I look at this as being a partnership with Joe and me after the Africa trip. I went to Africa. I met a lot of you guys there. I got on the plane to South Africa and I told my brother, I'm going to do this. I said I would. My answer is probably going to be no when we get on the plane on the way home. But I want to go see it for myself. So I want to see the people. You guys in this room made the decision for me to say yes. It was how pleasant you were. The individuals in South Africa changed the projection for IX forever. Because I sat there and on the way home, I looked at Joe and I said, I can't believe I'm going to say this. We need to talk when we get home. Jake almost passed out on the plane when coming home. He says, I did not think that was going to happen. Joe and I worked out a strategy to put things out to the market very quickly as a pool to test it, to just try and figure it out. That was natural gas. We released it early. We gave you guys the pricing that our node holders start with. Joe bought a large block and allowed you guys to sell them. Today, you still have them less than I sell them on our side by a lot. We're still going to investment banks. We sell millions of dollars in chunks from the investment banks. Our natural gas license is over $70,000 from our side. I think Joe's still selling them for under $7,000. So he should raise his prices. But we're almost sold through that project. The nice thing is, black gold and natural gas, we have a contract in-house as long as Joe sells around 100 and change left. We will be sold out of both those projects, and both those projects will turn to NFTs in first quarter of next year. How cool would that be? Raise your prices. We have without being the same company, we have a very good working relationship. And I think that should give you a good intro, should give you how we met, why we're here. I think I answered all your questions.
That actually takes us to another one, and now that you're on it. One of the question is, why are the NatG licenses, BGLD licenses, 70,000, 50,000? Where the pricing model, where did you come up with that scales it, or how does that work on the retail side so they can understand that?
So when we first got started, we were not doing MLM. I didn't really care about the price of it. We were dealing with investment banks, we were dealing with family office registered investment advisors, we were dealing with institutional investors. So from our side, it didn't really matter if the license was 50,000 or 100,000. From a network perspective, selling a $50,000 license is almost impossible. So how do we get to a point where, now that Joe and I said we're going to work together, I had to go back and look at DebtBox and say, okay, this is fun. I can't give you all the free cheap ones because my institutions will kill me. I can't give you a block of them to where you get them all for 3,000 and my guys are paying higher. So how do we blend this? How do we get through this? Welcome to Tokenomics 101. So every project has X amount of licenses that goes out for inventory. It creates the exact same dollar no matter what tokenomics we're using. Meaning, if it goes up by 100 per every 100 sold or 100 for every 1,000 sold, that comes up to $1 at the end of the day. Does that make sense? If I release 2 to 3 times as many licenses but keep the price down so that you guys can sell them, you guys can make commissions, you guys can earn money, I have to create more licenses for that. So Nat Gas, 100,000 licenses, those are basically sold out. With Aluminum and Explorer, 500,000 licenses. My concern was putting that many licenses on the market so quickly, it wouldn't be of value. So what the Debt Council did is we started off and we're testing this with Illumina Explorer. We're doing 100,000 unit blocks and giving Joe access to purchase a large quantity of them at the opening prices. And then when he's done with that inventory, he's got to buy it again. So his price goes up to me and his price goes up to you. So as he runs out of inventory, he's got to come buy more. He has to buy at the current price. And then we have to wait for that price to go up again. So he has a value proposition for you guys to basically go to market and say, we're still 20% cheaper than Debtbox. So he will always lock in prices. The truth is, he bought them. If he buys them, he owns them. He can sell them for whatever he wants. He could lose money on them, wouldn't suggest it, but he could lose money on them. He could sell them for more money. But that's what, as our price goes up, it allows it easier for you guys to sell on your side, and we're still going to the investment banks. We're still going to the institutional investors. We're still going to the big boys that can pop the checks. They get a lot more licenses now, but they get a block for $50,000. It doesn't matter if they're getting one license or they're getting 5 or 10.
And maybe, Jason, you can talk a little bit about because I think people are having a hard time understanding why would somebody pay that much money. But what they don't understand is the basic mentality of these institutions. It's different than the individual.
Yeah. Institutions, that's my background. Anytime you deal with institutional funds, we try and get involved with projects that have a risk and reward of higher than we are putting out. If we can put our dollar out, great. If we can bring it back, that's even better. We bring it back with some friends, that's even better. This isn't an investment because you really don't know what these tokens are going to be worth. That is 100% subjective to the crypto market. We've had a lot of things hit us in this space in the last few weeks, especially things that a year ago I would have said never were possible. But when anything can't be possible, trust me, someone's going to find a way to screw it up and make it possible. So how do we shield ourselves from it? That's the revenues that we bring in. The deflationary, we protect ourselves. We're not down 40, 50% like a lot of other tokens are right now. How do we get to a point where we can protect the community? That's the tokenomics. And how do we get to a point where we can thrive when everybody else is in the red? And someone looking at our ecosystem that understands that we have something that is different than anybody. Most investment banks have a 3 to 5 year time horizon. They don't have a Monday through Friday time horizon. I'm going to be honest with you, most people in this room have a Monday through Friday time horizon. You guys look at this and say, okay, I want to have these amount of tokens brought in, and then tomorrow I want to sell them for this, or Friday I want to sell them for this, or next week I want to sell them for this. An institution doesn't care what you guys are doing. An institution looks at 36 months out minimum for their return on investment. So they look at it as a return on investment because they're projecting. It doesn't matter if they're buying an excavator. They want to know when they get it back, what do they produce back in the farm, and how to get it situated. How many software licenses can they buy? They can put them in the cloud. They don't do anything. What do they believe that token will be worth down the road? Now they look at the tokenomics. They look at how the burns are happening and how everything is shutting down. They're not going to sell this token coming into the market until at least 2 halvings. Why? Because 2 halvings, all of your guys' nodes are now making a third of what they were, 25% of what they were. And if they have all the token and nothing more is coming in, but the burns are still going, this goes back to are you willing to sell at $1? Are you willing to sell at $1.05? If they're not willing to sell until XYZ, what's the value of the token? XYZ, because they're not going to say they're going to sell it until it hits XYZ. Does that kind of make sense? And we want to be very careful about these institutions not being whales in this industry. So we only let them buy X amount of licenses for that reason. I don't want to have huge wallet holders that can come in there and 3 years from now they go and pull it out. If they did, the beautiful part about the tokenomics is they lost 10% for doing it. They then dropped the market, which means the burn came in and purchased more tokens than it ever would have. Would you rather have a dollar come in and buy 1 token or a dollar come in and buy 3 tokens? 3. So even if you have a drop, the revenue coming in over time will correct it automatically and bring it back up. So the selling doesn't bother me. Joe hits me up on this all the time. He's like, well, yeah, but they're just going to sell it next month. Okay, I don't care. $6 million comes in, $6 million bought a lot of token at a really steep discount, so I'm okay with that. Joe looks at it and says, no, this is bad. I said, it's actually really good, Joe. he's having these things. But Black Gold will prove it. Black Gold already proved it once through the first halving. You guys haven't been around that long. Even a natural gas that just halved in July, We are just now starting to hit the bottoms, and what happens is right about now, the revenues start catching up with the sellers, and it starts going the opposite way. It happens with everything, because eventually you start hitting that level where you're not mining enough token to keep doing this and selling it to where the revenues come in and do this on the other side. It's just a teeter-totter. So it just matters if you're basically level today or if you steep one way or the other. And so that's just your own personal projection of what you believe those rewards are worth, and that's the best part, because it's worth whatever you believe it is, and when it hits there, sell it.
All right, so this goes a little bit to the tokenomics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to group a lot of these, but like what is the EGI pool or the EGI? How much supply of tokens for each project? Kind of like, how do you guys calculate that? You kind of hit on it a little bit. And then we talked about the increased license value.
Okay, let's stop this stuff.
Yeah, so basically supply stuff is how is that?
Okay. Will you step out of the front and see if we can make sure we have it for at least 11:30? Or sorry, 12:30? I don't think they're getting here until 2, but just check on that. Okay, so EGI pool, it's Ecosystem Growth Initiative. It stands for a lot of things for me, but we're trying to grow out the ecosystem that's in this room. We're trying to grow out the ecosystem that is physically in the farms, in the pits, doing the drilling, the workers, the supply chain. Growth is very simple, guys. It is basically, we're trying to get everybody to grow. It's a part of DebtBox. So we're trying to get the ecosystem to grow, we're trying to get the growth of the company to grow, and it's our initiative to do so. So that is your mining pool. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. I don't want to call it a mining pool, because the reality at the end of the day, that's not what I named it. Everybody does mining pool. This is our initiative to basically grow this whole ecosystem, not by dollars necessarily, but by people and benefits of life. So every single day, the EGI pool does a distribution out. Depending on the tokenomics, that will either be divided by how many licenses are on based off of the half-life, or that EGI pool gets divided by 4,000 days, and then 1/4,000th gets divided today based off of how many nodes are on. When people start running their own nodes, if they do not put them on the cloud, there's what's called leakage, it's called downtime. Even sometimes when you put it with certain service providers, Amazon's gone down, Vultre's gone down, it's a possibility. If you're on Amazon and Vultre goes down today and half the network's on Vultre, guess what? You're very happy. If you're on Amazon and it goes down tomorrow, I got news for you. You're very unhappy because Vultre got the revenues and you didn't. You guys have been very blessed for the last year by us hosting this, and Amazon's only gone down one time in the last 12 months, and they weren't down long enough to affect mining. It may happen. That is the benefit of basically putting these out to an actual mining process. If my power went out at my Bitcoin facility, do you think I made Bitcoin that day? My internet went down, do you think I made Bitcoin that day? No. So this is a true rewards-based system, and this process over the next 30 to 60 days is going to get it there. The EGI pool does the mining pools out. That's divided by the nodes out. Every single node holder then understand that when halving happens, the EGI pool halved. It's still 1/4,000th of that EGI pool, which means your mining halved. There's been 2 exceptions to this. Number 1 is we just went through halving the first time for Aluminum and Explorer on October 1st. And I got a lot of calls saying, well, but it didn't drop by half. We had a couple individuals fall for a scam, and I didn't feel it was right for the ecosystem to take the hit on it. There was a lot of selling happening in Aluminum Explorer, but it wasn't organic. It was a crime. We've got the law enforcement agencies involved in it. So what we did is, us as the Debt Council, we have treasury nodes. What we did is we turned off some of our treasury nodes, so we made a lot less during that period of time to make sure the ecosystem did not get affected by a bad actor. So that is the one time in Debt Council history that was ever happened. It just happened with Aluminum and Explorer. Those are the tokens that got hurt the worst because of how early they were in the project, and that's why it didn't have.
Technically, the EGI pool did have.
The EGI pool halved?
The number of nodes that were on.
Correct. We reduced our treasury nodes that we had purchased and basically dropped ours down just to make sure that the ecosystem is whole. You guys didn't feel it. And I think that really is showing the value. By us doing it, the tokens are rising today. Had we not done that, we would see a different picture today. So I think it's in benefit for everybody in here, for the Debt Council to make less money, and everybody in here thrived. And Joe thrived because he sold a lot of licenses because of it.
All right, so the next one, and this is kind of goes to this, is the perpetual licenses, right? We always say 11-year type of thing, but I know Jake does a really good job of kind of like how does it become a perpetual license on
Okay.
the tokenomics?
This is a very easy one to explain, and it's because of the partners we're partnering with. The tokenomics are split 1/4000th of the days, but tomorrow, what is it? It's 1/4000th of the days. Tomorrow, or the next day, it's 1/4000th of the days. The reality is, every single day you wake up, it's 11 years. It never actually shrinks. This is not an 11-year perpetual license. This is a perpetual license that then gets divided tokenomically by 4,000 days. So this pool will never run out. How do we support this project well after I'm gone? We're trying to build a legacy. We're trying to build something that a true blockchain project should never be around somebody being here or not. How do we try and put that into effect to make sure that well after I'm gone, my brother's gone, he's younger than me, my kids are gone, or anybody else we basically hired to come and run the company? How do we make sure this survives? Well, we partner with really good companies. The Gannan Bauxite Corporation has been mining in this facility right here that we're going to have a visual with later with Shad for 90 years. We are showing them how to get from $1 billion to $5 billion a year in revenue, which means we benefit from that. There's enough material to physically go another 100 years. So well after I'm gone, that mine is still going to be operating. Well after I'm gone, that royalty is still going to be coming in. Where's the royalty go? The tokenomics. It goes exactly where it's supposed to go. So that's what we basically have put together to make sure that EGI pool is always valuable, no matter how many tokens you're doing, and that's what the EGI pool is for, and that's how we survive well after the 11-year period.
All right, so this one is sticking with the EGI pool.
Mm-hmm.
Get this question a whole lot.
Okay.
The liquidity pool or the EGI pool wallet, the top couple wallets,
Yeah.
they're all, and I don't know the term, but they put unlocked,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of crypto projects or crypto experts out there say if those top wallets are unlocked, there's a fear of a rug pull that can
Yeah.
happen. So can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Not a problem. Okay, so two things on this. Locking your token in a crypto project that is not decentralized is very dangerous. I see the value in danger on both sides. I really struggled with this when we put these projects out. Do we lock it, or do we keep it open to have flexibility? I'm not saying that those will never be locked in the future, but right now, a prime example is had we locked that EGI pool, we would never have been able to swap the liquidity out of BNB to go to debt. And debt's major liquidity to go to Tether instead of BNB. We originally locked with BNB because we had to have BNB anyway to basically move our tokens around. We know we're eventually going to go on to our own debt chain.
And that's a couple more questions here. So
Okay.
The other question is, does the crypto market in general
Mm-hmm.
have an effect on the ecosystem, which I know you're getting into. I just want to get the questions to the camera.
Sure.
The Binance blockchain that we're using right now, if there's a pump and dump or a hacking in the Binance chain, how does that affect the ecosystem? And will we launch our own debt blockchain? And then after that, if we do launch our own blockchain, how does that help support the ecosystem and isolate us from the outside crypto world?
Okay.
Sorry,
Perfect. So our goal is to basically have all of the noise, the FUD in crypto to be gone. It's impossible. You're always going to have people out there that overpromise and underdeliver. I hate to say it, but even in your group, there's people that will be bad actors and they overpromise, and I will not be able to deliver because I never said I would. There's just that in crypto in general. With the unlocked wallet part, I'm going to finish that, and then you're going to understand really quickly why it was a good decision for us to keep it unlocked right now. We peeled away from BNB because BNB came in, the liquidity dropped from BNB being paired at $425, I think, on average. Some of those tokens were actually purchased in the EGI pool for around $600. It dropped to under $200. So during that process, our whole ecosystem got affected by about 48%. None of our doing. The farms were still growing. The oil was still in process of revenues. Natural gas was still in process of revenues. We hadn't released yet Aluminum and Explorer, but we're looking at the whole ecosystem doing this off of nothing we did. So by having that EGI pool open, we were able to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and just change the liquidity to Tether. Let's try to get off of the perspective of a volatile token. We may have volatility already in our ecosystem. We can live and die by ourselves. That's okay. I don't like third-party projects happening that could potentially hack a bridge contract, which happened, that then caused everybody to do a mass panic selling, and our tokens take a 12 or 15% dump within minutes. Not because of anything we did. Our tokens didn't drop. The pairing token dropped, which means the whole thing dropped. So by locking that EGI pool, I would never have been able to do that, and I've been tied to BNB for the rest of my life. I didn't believe in the first stages in this, especially in the first year. That's a smart decision. We're different in a lot of ways in any other crypto. Because of how a lot of people do it, they lock everything on PancakeSwap, then everybody has to buy from PancakeSwap, then the creators have what's called house token. They printed themselves a bunch of token that they have in these wallets that then go to the exchanges and then do those pairings. We don't do that. We mine it just like everybody else does. That's why we have treasury notes. Does that kind of make sense? So I don't have a huge pool of tokens I can say, oh, by the way, I want to get on XYZ exchange. Well, say one of the exchanges we've already done, Bitmart, for instance. Bitmart required us to put up $2 million in token on the exchange for liquidity for their clients and X amount of the pairing token in Tether. Okay, well, that's no problem. Had we not done the locked wallets of the treasury wallets in particular, we would not be able to do that. We have to have those treasuries to be flexible. There are larger exchanges that we are minutes away from, and debt specifically. It's almost $10 million in token has to go to it because of how large they are and how much consumers. Now, had I done a huge, let's say 30% to myself when I started doing this out of the EGI pool, I'd have all the token in the world to do this. You guys would never see it. But I didn't. We have to mine it. And so that's why we are different than a couple others for that reason. I do understand the scare and skepticism, and that's where you just have to kind of understand what we are doing with revenue. Even if a large jump happened, the revenues are still there to basically bring it up over time. I don't ever have a period of time where selling is beneficial for me personally, ever. We fund this thing 100% out of our own pockets. Why? If I sell, the token drops. If I park it and lock it with an institution that I have relationships with and I can borrow against it for par rates, it stays out of the ecosystem and I get all the money I need anyway. So we just chose to do it a different way. That's a better way. Does that answer your question? Make sure, did I get enough into it?
I think so.
Okay.
The other part of that was are we going to launch our own blockchain?
Oh, okay. Not this year. Unfortunately, we have a lot of projects coming out. Joe gave you a sneak peek of the projects in Barcelona that we're heading on. We actually have 12 projects for 2023. Debtbox did 2.6 billion roughly this year so far. Next year, I am trying to take Joe to levels he hasn't even fathomed yet. But he announced a very, very aggressive goal for him and his community. I think we can crush it. I think we can crush it because I already know I'm going to crush it. I'm already at that goal this year. And I believe pushing a lot of the volume of our individuals and our relationships to Joe and your guys' ecosystem will go. And you guys are expanding in all kinds of countries I wouldn't even have thought about. Joe hits me up all the time. He's like, oh, we got this guy. We're in over 110 countries total with Debtbox. I don't know how many of those are Joe's, but I know we opened up countries on our own. I think we picked up another 4 in the last week. So I don't know the total number. It's either 114 or 115 right now in a year. You know how incredible that is? That's crazy. So I think that's answer that.
Do you have like some roadmap for, like, for example, let's say for another 10 years, like what, like not only like because you mentioned now like 1 year, like you have like 13 projects coming like in this like year, like the next like, but maybe like do you have like the vision for another like 10, like what do you want like more to come in with?
Projects are coming to me faster than I can put them out. I want to be the largest ecosystem that owns nothing. And I think that's what most people are trying to wrap their head around. I don't want to be in the oil well business, but I want to be the ecosystem that controls more revenue in the oil and gas industry than anyone. Because I don't want to own the property. I don't want to run the property. I just want the royalties. So if we can put ourselves in a strategic relationship and in a strategic environment in order to give them enough technology to grant us that royalty, go to the next person. And when it's working for them, and why do we get that? If you understand Explore, and a lot of you guys got the benefit of sitting down a little bit more in detail and going through what that technology is, and it's just going to get better. We have an announcement. The Explorer token is physically partnered with an aerospace company. And some of the details of that will be released with no cameras, nothing else, to you guys first the last day you're here. It will be launched publicly through IX, I believe in January 14th?
Salt Lake City event.
January 14th, along with a video. I don't want to be, everybody's like asking me, why do we not do press releases? I don't want to be the one doing a press release. I want the billion-dollar companies who are in business to do press releases on that side, and then I can say, yeah, we did that. Does that make sense? What's more powerful for the team? If I say I'm in business with this person, or they say, there you go. We're a year old. The credibility of the billion-dollar companies that have been here for 90 years goes a lot farther.
All right, so blockchain, future vision of the project tokens, BGLD, NAGI, all of them. Will those be getting listed on centralized exchanges as well?
Okay. Great question, and yes. So we just ran a solid year on debt to get on 6 exchanges. The goal at the end of the day for any crypto is to hit Binance. It's the largest exchange, it's the most credible exchange, especially after what's kind of been going on in the ecosystem over the last few weeks, as everybody kind of understands with FTX. It's our mission to basically get to the top. We believe we have a roadmap to get there in a very, very quick period, before the end of Q1. We've hit almost all the criteria. We have some help in a few other issues that we have already solidified, and we believe we are on target for that. When it doesn't really matter about that token, when Black Gold and Nat Gas sell out as NFTs, we're doing the same thing with them. We'll start with the smaller exchanges, we then go all the way around, and at the end of the day, we're gonna go right back to the same big boy we just started with and ended with debt. We don't do that until the licenses are sold out and or the ecosystem will hit the criteria in order to get there. I wish I could pay Binance $5 million just to list me today. It's not that. They have criteria about ecosystem, how many wallets, how active the Twitter account. They want the trading on their exchange. They want the excitement. What gets us there? Well, announcements from billion-dollar public companies definitely helps. The other ecosystems as far as the daily trading volumes, well, when you announce multiple different wells that are coming online, when you announce other things that kind of get people excited about those projects, we can then build that roadmap to get there. We believe we'll be ready for natural gas and black gold, same time frame. When it hits NFT, we'll immediately start exchanges for those two.
NFT, that's the next question. Mm-hmm. So we're projecting Q1 for BGLD, NAGI. What is the, let me see, I can't find the question here exactly. Essentially, okay, after NFT conversion, what is the probability of getting a buyer in the open market? Like, because they have to go find their own buyers, right?
Didn't you find a buyer to buy it the first time? Did I find a buyer to buy it the first time? Probability is pretty good. What price is a whole different issue. If everyone here has the same effect about NFTs as they have on token, you're probably not selling them for the prices I am today, because I will only sell them for my price. If someone's willing to sell instead of 70,000 for 35, well, the buyer probably would have spent 70,000 for it, but they're definitely going to spend 35. The next guy says, well, I'll take 25. I'd like to undercut the other guy. You could see this for a minute, but eventually people are going to realize, as long as we are doing our job as the debt ecosystem, and everyone in this room is doing the job as the debt ecosystem, and the projects underlying are bringing the royalties, the reality is the token basically will decide and dictate what a license sells for. Because anybody in the open market is going to look and say, okay, I can't tell you what, I know how many tokens it's going to give me. I don't know what that token is going to be valued at, but I believe it's going to be XYZ. I believe because of what's happened on already that they will look ahead and figure out. That's not what we tell them, but I will tell you, anybody looking at that as an investment will. We let other people do it at that point because then it is an investment. We'll let the exchanges deal with selling and rotating that capital. Other thing about NFTs is why we do not allow individuals to sell their licenses before their NFTs. We get this one all the time, especially with changes in life happen. Death, divorce, arguments. We do not allow that because we don't want the competition in the marketplace until we're sold out. That's just the truth. We also don't want to do it to undercut anything that Joe has already purchased out there in the ecosystem. So we're actually protecting ourselves and all of our vendors. At that point in time, when we can't sell them anymore, the market will decide what that is worth. Will we go from 70,000 to 35? Probably for a minute. And that's just being honest. What'd you buy it for? Well, if you bought it through him, a lot less than anybody else. I will tell you, the investors that brought these large dollars for it to buy software on our side, they're going to look at those prices and say, well, crap, that's 50% less than I paid for it last time. They'll probably gobble it up. So is there always buyers? Yeah, I believe it, because you guys are selling them every day. Hundreds every single day.
Okay. This is kind of switching gears here a little bit. This is, I think, a little more housekeeping, but on BSC scan, on the profiles, on the token pages, there's a lot of missing info.
The icons.
The icons, the diluted market cap, social profiles, etc.
So we've submitted all the stuff to BSC Scan. That doesn't mean we are on BSC Scan's projection to do it. We then have gone to CoinMarketCap. We've updated that twice. They do their own sweet time. They're not my companies. They do their own sweet time. They're looking at the volume and where we are as a ranking, and we're not a high priority. We're like 2,600, I guess, on the ranking list. When we break about 1,500, that's when all of a sudden they say, okay, this is a top 1,500 token. We probably need to look at this. They'll actually do, they actually pull that data from the blockchain itself. So what'll happen is when you hit that lower number, they start paying more attention, and they will actually run their own analytics on their side. They'll pull in the circulating supply. They pull in all that. That's not
so you're not the one like who's doing this.
we give it to them.
And they're deciding.
They will then run their analytics when we hit about 1,500, and they'll fix anything I haven't given them. So they actually screwed up, and they put 500 million debt token out in the market. Well, we don't have 500 million, we have 50 million total. They put the wrong number. We immediately called them and said, I need you to correct this. About 2 months, it sat there and said 500 million. They could have easily just looked at the blockchain and said, that doesn't exist, but they didn't. But it did get fixed now. So it's not my company. Unfortunately, that's not something we can do. These are third-party people.
It's always like the question, like the first one, like the people like they're going to check the project like on the market cap, and then there is like zero information and like zero information about like the owners.
We have supplied it. It's when we get excitement enough to say, oh, we better take a look at these guys and fix this stuff, or put more stuff on there. That happens by people going there, following the token, which we did have Joe do, and I think we're up about 1,000 on the ranking scale already just by your guys' ecosystem going there and liking the token, putting a comment on the token, and actually creating a profile with CoinMarketCap and following the token. Those things there to get us to about that 1,500, all that stuff gets updated very quickly, because then you're telling that third-party vendor, oh, we need to take a look at this. But until we get we got like under 1,000 people following us right now on CoinMarketCap. How that's possible with the size of network that we have over 10,000 wallets on every.
The big question mark is like
it's because wallet holders don't do all the things they normally should, and they should go out there and do this. Please put this out to your community. Go to CoinMarketCap, make and create an account, then go ahead and like, favorite, follow. Make a comment,
this is the gap which is
and then what'll happen is we'll go from like 2,600 to probably top 1,000 or maybe even top 500 very quick. With this network, we should be top 500. It's just not happening. Literally, we have under 200 that have actually created that account and going, which
because like like for me, like, let's say like you don't like each person, like you don't have like first like when you like introduced to this project, you don't have the trust, like so first think like what you're doing, like you're going there, and then like you're seeing like that some
we're hitting the criteria. We only have to basically be at about 15 or 1.5 million a day in trading volume to hit the top 500. We're 3 to 5 million a day. It's just the likes and follows and accounts. So go do that. Help us get that information out there and help CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko get excited about doing more for our token and project.
So that's like a lot of what I do on the global calls once in a while, right?
Is Joe doing his job? Is he saying to do this?
He does.
Okay, good.
I'm doing my job. I don't know where the breakdown is. All right. So again, this is a little bit switching gear, but it kind of goes market cap, kind of is the concept here. So market cap of debt, BGLD, is very high compared to the liquidity, the LP holdings in PancakeSwap.
Okay. So market cap is what's called very subjective when you have a deflationary token. Let me tell you why it's so subjective. We started off last year with 1.8 trillion black gold in the ecosystem on December 31st. On January 1st, we went to 900 and change billion. What happens to a market cap when you take half of it and burn it? It gets cut in half. Does that make sense? And so when we're only basically distributing 1/4000th of that EGI pool into the ecosystem, you have to understand that less than probably 18% total will ever be paid out of the EGI pool, ever. And Jake may come up here with do we have a marker for that?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, let me do a visual real quick, because it'll actually make sense. And I'll keep the numbers. Okay, so let's say there's 2 trillion in the EGI pool. And that's where it starts, right? That gets divided by 1/4000. And it pays out for 365 days in a row, right? So that's less than 10% of that. Actually works out to be about 8 and change percent. Then this gets cut in half to 1 trillion. And then it pays out 1/4000th of that times 365, okay, which is less than 10% of that. And then that gets cut to 500 billion, 1/4000. So even what these different coin market caps and things are looking at is they're looking at the total EGI pool and trying to establish a market cap off of what's in the EGI pool.
If that was fully circulated.
If it was fully circulated. But if you had 8% of this and 8% of that and 8% of that, really it's only about maybe 12 to 14% of the total starting supply will ever hit the open market. And with all the burns that are happening with A, the tax, and B, the revenues that are coming in, where it's getting lost in translation a little bit is they look at the standard token that has a fixed supply and they're doing the market cap off of that. And the way that our tokens work with the deflationary mechanism,
Other than debt
and grow, they're basing everything off of this, when it really should be like 12% of that. Far cry lower number. And that 12% gets distributed over 10 years. And so that's where it's getting a little bit lost in the market cap calculation.
So basically, take the market cap, divide it or times it by about 12%, and that's a physical market cap in the next 10 years. If the token never goes up, and hopefully those all don't happen at the same time.
Okay, and then this is the last question. This is kind of what you were covering with at the beginning over here.
Mm-hmm.
The EGI is connected with royalties, and how does it impact the license and token price?
The EGI is not collected with royalties. The open market circulating token is connected with royalties. Meaning, there's a big misconception that debt as an ecosystem gets $6 million in from black gold, and we burn the EGI pool, which doesn't give everyone that has a black gold any benefit. The reality is that $6 million comes into a buy and burn wallet that then goes to the open market. That has to be spent in 12 months. They do not have to do it immediately. It'd be foolish for us to let them do it immediately. They have one task and one task only. There are multiple people doing this buy and burn, meaning there's one task they can do, two. They can buy it, send it to the burn wallet. You can do 2 tasks. But what they can't do is ever sell. They cannot manipulate the market with what they're doing. They can do one other thing, and that's look out for everybody in this room and buy as much token as possible with that wallet. If they went and put $6 million in, they'd buy some at a penny, some at a penny 1, some at a penny 2, some at a penny 3, some at a penny 5, and it would skyrocket the token. You guys may be happy for a minute, but what really happened? $6 million went to very few people that sold into that, and the ecosystem did not benefit. Not everyone in the ecosystem benefited. One person that was smart that knew when that transaction was going to happen, it could be manipulated very, very easily. You could buy $2 billion in token, and immediately one person could sell $2 billion in token. Everybody in this room was upset because it went to $1 and went right back down to a half a cent.
This is what happened with like they just announced like they launched the project. It went $100
Mm-hmm.
and like just when they launched. And then in few hours it dropped like
Yes.
to the $7. So like
When-
did somebody make a good money and then
And the rest of you are all sitting, well, why?
Yes.
I didn't have an opportunity. What, you had insider information. So from a financial market, it's very dangerous to do that. I'm a very conservative guy and I'm from the financial market. So what we do is we task traders to go in, and some of these buys are 25 bucks. Some are 50, some go up to 4,000 or 5,000, some are 75,000. It depends on what they feel they can take out of the market. So if you go to the buy and burn wallet, it's very easy to find. I don't publish it, but I will actually next month. All you have to do is go to the burn that I do publish. You look where the token came from. It goes to the payment wallet. How the token get the payment wallet? You go to the transaction hash. From where? You're now at the buy and burn wallet. That buy and burn trust wallet is the trust that is set up for the ecosystems for all income coming in to where it basically goes. You will see thousands of transactions in there. You will never see a sell in there. Does that make sense? And that's how you guys hold us accountable. That's how we hold our traders accountable. We only let them use one wallet to make sure that we never have a situation where a trader tries to manipulate or undercut the market and take value out of our ecosystem. They can buy it at a penny, they can buy it at half a penny, they can buy it at a penny and a half. That's what I'm trusting them to do, buying it at the best price possible. I don't really care about what they bought it for, I care about how many tokens they acquire. We burnt 2 billion token in September roughly. We're going to be burning about 2 billion more in BGLD already this month. You're already starting to see the burns affecting it in BGLD. What's happening is it's starting to go higher and higher, higher and higher. We were dealing with 3 zeros and a 3.5, then we're pretty solid about the 3 zeros and a 4, then we're pretty solid about the 3 zeros and a 5. We've hit 6 a few times. Now we're getting people to kind of sell into it. This is great for us long term. Short term, people say, well, I couldn't cash out for $1 billion today. I don't really care if you can cash out for $1 billion today. I'm trying to make sure that the guy at the end of the day that's holding with the ecosystem, that believes in the ecosystem, is getting the most value. This is a commodity supported project. Commodities are very safe, they're secure, they are long term. This is a holding opportunity for people to be part of something for a store of value, which is very hard to find in the crypto arena. So the longer, think about this as a game of chicken. Are you going to turn the wheel first, or are you going to let the next guy? I'm letting the next guy turn all the time because I know at the end of the day, I know what this thing's going to be worth. I have a projection of where I think this thing's going to be worth. It's pretty simple. When you start cutting down what Jake just went through, the amount of tokens going out, eventually, we're not minting any more token for BGLD. Those licenses are going to be gone. They're done. So if there's no more mint, there's a finite supply at that point. That way I can physically tell you how many tokens are there. And every single year they half, which means every single node holder makes less token. They're still the same amount of dollars. If you have 6 million coming in today and every single token holder sold and they got 3 zeros and a 5. The next year when they have half and everybody sold, the token doubles. Does that make sense? And this is everybody sells in the ecosystem. The next year, ready how it goes? What happened to the people that held? What happened to the people that held when that same money's coming in and it doubles? Well, it had to actually more than double because they were holding the token, so they didn't sell. This goes back to, did you sell at a penny? Did you sell at a penny 1? Did you sell at a penny 2? You can stick that price in your head and you can be that victim that turned the car, and I call you a victim because you turned too early. And then what will happen at the end of the day, we are trying to get people to understand this is going to be here for legacies. I'm hoping this is here for my legacy, for me and my kids, and well beyond that. This isn't something I'm looking for a year. We're putting projects in here for 90-year partnerships for a reason. I'm not living 90 years, so guess what? It's going to outproceed me. Rory's been very good about putting together partnerships with public companies. When those announcements come out, what's the best thing for a salesperson? A public announcement from a public company is going to go a ways with your sales pitches, how you're talking about debt. Your comfortability, even with me, coming here gives you guys a little more understanding, and having the one-on-one time. I'm very busy. I wish I could give everybody a half hour of my time. I can't. But getting this type of opportunity is worth $1 million in my mind, because I think you guys can then take that out there and grow from it.
Okay, Nat G. Because we all got involved in Nat G in the beginning, and we kind of, when we looked at it in the beginning, we kind of did a comparison with BGLD, which maybe was a mistake, because there's a lot of factors that differentiate BGLD from Nat G. Maybe it wasn't, but I guess, let me just read the question. I was just trying to get us some context, but What is the value to be expected for NatG in the next fiscal year as compared to BGLD? NatG didn't perform well this year.
Who has their phone?
Everybody.
What's the price right now at BGLD? Write it on the board, Joe.
00546. 2 zeros?
2 zeros, 5469.
5, 4.
Perfect. Will someone please give me the price of nat gas today?
No, that's BGL.
That's BGLD.
That's BGLD.
Sorry, I was like, that's.
Sorry,
You're
though.
budgeting-
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
Well, everybody's leaving and going to sell in about 2 seconds.
Hold on real quick.
So 000 on nat gas, 3176.
This here, basically next week, is 1 year old. We minted 10 times the amount of token because the reserves on natural gas. Take a 0 off of that.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Just take 1 0. That one, we still have a whole quarter on before it hits its 1 year anniversary. It is following. It is growing. There's 10 times more token in the ecosystem because the amount of reserves we have in natural gas are 10 times what we have in black gold. That's why the token was created originally. If you look, we actually are almost parallel with the time periods. 3 months ago, we had a major sell-off in black gold. Where was it sitting? I just told you. I actually just walked through the technical, 0.00035. Where's that gas? How close are we? It's not exact. It's not exact science. But I can tell you with the amount of revenues coming in, the tokenomics, the behavior of people is the one thing you cannot put in a understanding. It's the one question out there. Are people going to hold more? Are people going to sell more? We are directly in line with what we did with black gas, or nat gas and black gold. But it's not exact. It's not exact science. But for what we built and what's happening and the consistent behavior of people that held licenses in black gold and the consistent behavior that's happening in nat gas, we have more people in the ecosystem from IX than we have in black gold. They are typically people that do have a larger selling rate, not by much. We actually were pretty shocked when we did this comparison. It's about 15% to 18% difference is all. Otherwise, they're dead on top of each other. Explain that?
Yep.
Okay.
That's. Unless I missed the question, guys, I think I know I jumped around a little bit.
If you can make sure that that is picking up the board so that you guys can somehow recreate that without Jake's and, well, I mean, and yeah.
So are we allowed to run the flow now about questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can take a couple questions. Paul, you can go first because I
We got
know.
about a half an hour before we gotta leave.
Okay, perfect.
So Jason, this is what we were talking about this morning.
Yeah.
And so the Bitcoin, we all know this crypto, they tried to do crypto for years and years, couldn't solve the double spend and the trustless problem, right? And so that's what Bitcoin solved with that proof of work. So synthetic proof of work, like how it seems to me as I'm looking at it, could be more vulnerable to a 51% attack, at least at the very beginning of projects. And then also, the whole double, like all that stuff. So what's the difference and how are we protected? Because I don't need the value proposition of the proof of work of Bitcoin because we have it in the commodity. So great, that's already taken care of. But what about like attacks on the actual ecosystem? Does that make sense?
Yes. So we are protecting ourselves by currently right now piggybacking on Binance Smart Chain. So they basically are doing the validity of holding those transactions long term. That's why we did not do a debt chain directly day one, because we didn't have the trust factor in the debt name. We didn't have the amount of nodes up and operational to be the underlying tag to hold that data for hacking and that type of stuff. So we picked a partner that we believed would protect that information and pull through. We are protected by the Binance Smart Chain. So how we basically verge off is once we have not only the credibility, the manpower of the dev team to put together a duplicate of work to have an underlying chain that protects our whole ecosystem that is a proof of work basis, then we can basically just peel our ecosystem and put it on top of it, which will be the debt chain. So that's why we're not releasing debt chain this year. That's why this is a larger roadmap for down the road. We want to use the partners in that are in the ecosystem already. We pay a small little tax. Trust me, that little gas fee for Binance Smart Chain protects everybody in this room for our crypto, and it encrypts everything that we all do, and it maintains that I am not only honest in that, but it also protects you guys from understanding that when you guys take that token out of your piggy bank, you guys are locked behind your own seed words. It's not me as a company being able to go into your wallets and change anything. Once that's done, it's done. There is no changing it. There are some problems with miseducation or undereducation. A lot of people see the fact that we're on Binance Smart Chain and they send debt to Binance. This has actually happened so often, I am already on Binance's radar. They have a full video of how to actually convert debt tokens and not send them to them. So the good news is I've already had conversations with Binance, and they put this video together for their ecosystem to make sure that you don't do that, because they will be lost. You can pay them. They actually have worked with several clients to actually get that reversed back out. They'll do it for a fee to solve the problem. But I think the risk-reward calculations of paying that small little gas fee of 12 cents to 20 cents whenever you basically move stuff is well worth knowing that you're protected and you have the true authentication on both sides.
Can you just like expand on the definition of like a synthetic proof of work?
So synthetic proof of work, we're allowing the underlying blockchain to basically do all the proof of work, and we're basically synthetically laying above it with just transactions used on their network. So we're letting them have all of the high spending costs of using that, the high power rate. They're basically covering all of that. So even if we were basically on the Ethereum network, for instance, we pay them the fee, but basically everything underneath is their, well, they just proved to prove a stake and blew their whole crypto. But in general, that's where it was. So being overlaid above it is basically the synthetic. We're using their true proof to basically our synthetic proof above it.
It's like you're kind of renting it. Like
We're renting their space.
Yeah, and so then if you do your own chain, how does that translate?
Debt will actually have its own miners, and it will be true proof of work. We have to basically put that out, and then you're seeing where it's going to have to end up going. But right now, we'll be renting the space.
So, when it converts into NFTs, if we sell somebody, for example, I'm selling to a Mr. X person, what the benefit he will get those 4,000 days or lesser days or something else? How many days it will be?
Perpetual, forever.
Yeah.
If you sell that NFT, it's like selling a piece of real estate. So that real estate is that license. When you sell that rental house, you no longer get your rents. The tokens every day are your rents. So the second you transfer it, I transfer a license to Joe. Joe then has all the rents coming in for it. I don't have them anymore. So I will never make another token from that license ever again. Oh, unless I go back to Joe and say, Joe, I made a mistake. Can I buy that back for you? Because there's no more you can buy. So the benefit, I think most people that do sell, there will be a point in time they come back and say, oh crap, what did I do? I don't think licenses should go back and forth. We did it to make sure that you guys had the power, you guys had the control to try to decentralize that option. I can tell you from our network, I don't think very many people ever will sell them unless there's an issue, death, divorce, those types of things.
Well, and I think the question, was it more about the 4,000 days?
4,000.
Yes.
It's not 4,000
Oh, it's not 4,000 days.
It's perpetual.
It's perpetual.
Forever.
It's this guy here in the back that has a little correction to make for 4,000. I heard him basically say it more than else. It's just how the math is working on the EGI. These are perpetual. They will go physically forever. Indefinitely. Okay. Yes, mister.
One of the questions that comes in a lot from this group to me
Yeah.
is, and forgive me because I just have not do an interview, but it has to do with an unlocked wallet.
We went over that
Okay,
already.
you did already cover it.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you. Just want to make sure you got it.
Done. Next.
I want to ask about the technologies itself. Like, for example, when there is XPLR technology, which is like, let's say, like scanning the Earth, like to find like the resources there. So then you're using another technologies also already on the project itself, as far as I understand. Yeah, like so, like you're providing. Who is like in charge of that? Like where
We need
you're
to get her
finding
to say
like
Shad.
these partners for?
So, because you weren't here the first day, everybody had a small meeting with Shad, and
Okay.
he went through all the scan technology and
we could probably do that.
And all
examples.
the rest.
And we can do that again.
Yes.
Okay.
But
I think it's very important to do, especially since there has never been a point in time when I have been in Africa for almost 15 years I've been here with Roy. I have been here with Jake. I've been here with Gordon. Shad and me have never been on the same continent here in Africa together, ever. So, and the five of us have never been physically in Africa or in Ghana together ever. So this is a very unique situation because you physically have me and my brother, very vast. I am Debtbox. Jake consults for virtually everything. So understand he's been my right-hand man so much, especially here in Ghana. He can talk about the digital side. He can talk about the physical side. Roy can talk about the physical side. He can talk about the digital side. I can talk about the physical and digital side, even though we have our parts to play in the company. All of us are intertwined. If the debt council goes down, as long as one of us survives, debt lives on. And I'm hoping what's happening is this ecosystem over the next 2 years will actually get strong enough that all of the debt council decisions will actually be done by votes of the note holders. So no matter what happens to us on our side, this group, the larger group, the 10,000, well, right now we broke 1.5 million licenses last night at 8 o'clock. That is phenomenal. That is something, if I showed you guys our roadmap, Shad actually mentioned it last night, we're kind of funny, everybody asked, well, everybody has goals, and there has to be like goals in everything. Early on in this project, about 4 years ago, we started talking about this. Our roadmap, we have it saved, sell 10,000 licenses. It's actually on a roadmap. In fact, it's actually on the original light papers we put out. Sell 10,000, get it done. This is an accomplishment that we could not ever have fathomed. The amount of jobs alone we will be creating in this country is over 10,000 this year. So understand that this is a passion. You guys have made this possible. And I can't thank you guys enough.
So I have to ask a question, but I have to go use a board for the same.
Good.
Okay. So as we are talking about, like in India, we are mainly dealing in rentals for 2023.
Yes.
And when we talk about mindset in India, like people put in the money for 2 months only. Okay, like see, I have purchased the rental for $250, and it's for 60 days. And after 60 days, if I've made $300, I have to cash it out. Okay, so if 1 lakh people have purchased the licenses, 80,000 wants to cash out every 60 days. So is it beneficial, or is it like an adverse situation for the
beneficial for the ecosystem? Yes.
Yes, for debt.
Yes.
Okay.
But I will never say it's going to make $300 in 60 days. I'm never going to say it's going to make $300 in 30 days. Whatever it makes, if they cash it out, it helps us all in the long term. Short term, people look at the price volatility as a way of saying, oh, they sold too early. Well, they're typically saying that because they wanted to sell too. It's called paper hands in crypto. Paper hands really care about paper hands. Diamond hands, we don't really care about paper hands. Paper hands kind of go left and right and sideways because they're worried about their check tomorrow. We need paper hands in this ecosystem. This actually is something very good. If everybody said, no, I don't want to sell, you just explained it. It goes like this, and then everybody says, oh, hit the number, we all need to sell. Back down to nothing. It's a misconception that all we want is ups. I like a steady up, but you gotta zoom out a little bit. You have to like take a pause and understand that this is take 1 year chart on black gold. Well, you just flipped it. I can't tell you what it is anymore.
0.005.
5.6?
5001. Yeah.
5.1. We're at 51.
5.4. It's 5.4. 0.005.
We're 54,000% up since launch.
But we're down 40%. So.
Thank you, B&B. But understand, you just have to pull. Yeah, we went here. But if you take a line and you draw it, there is no drop I can suffer until you basically put like 2 or 3 more zeros on there that I go to this. It's going up. This is healthy. This is why New York Stock Exchange goes up and down every day. I mean, it doesn't matter. Commodities, they go up and down every day. You have to have sellers and buyers. The price will be dictated off of do you have more buyers or more sellers. We have a lot of people that won't sell. I have people here on this trip that were some of my initial believers in this project. on a paper napkin, because I didn't have any built yet, they wrote checks for over $1 million that are on the strip today. You guys get to go out. I actually had a joke the other day. Travis is so excited. He sold $1 million, and he's like, okay, I got one wire, came in for $1 million. I said, isn't it great that someone else paved the way that was actually pretty easy for you to do? Because trust me, it was not easy on a paper napkin trying to draw this whole ecosystem out. I had circles, I had EGI pools, I had these farms. Oh, and then I started with some pictures of Africa. Trust me, going and raising money when you're saying, by the way, I'm going to go basically take the poverty, and the goal is to basically take millions of people out of poverty, people look at you and say, you're nuts. We're making that happen. But we have people on the strip that physically wrote those checks, and that's why they're here. This is the first time they've been here. It's been over a year, and now they finally get to see where their money went, and I think they're going to be very happy. But understand that we have paved the route. Next year is going to be easier than this year. You get public announcements next year. We never had that first year. Look at what we've done. 1.5 million licenses sold with no public announcements from anyone. That's
what we'll do next year.
Imagine what we'll do next year.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
another question is like the price for the rental license is $250.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the diversification? Like what amount of money goes to IX and what amount of money goes to debt?
Oh, I won't tell you that.
Okay.
It's 30%.
Well, Joe will tell you.
20 to 78% is being again like distributed to the distributors. Okay, that is a different thing. But like if I talk about we get 90 PVs on a $250 license. Okay, that is equal to a $145 like pro pack. So is it like that?
Yeah, but you have to do this comparison too. Sorry, this is more network marketing. You have to do, this is where you need to do it. You go 145, 90 PV, plus 500 to 1,000 in your Forex account to start. Or 250, and you're in.
No idea.
This was our previous plan. But what I'm asking is like when we are paying $250 for a license, is it like that 145 goes to IX Global and the rest $105 goes to
I told you 30%.
Okay, 30% goes to IX.
Yes.
And the commissions that we are getting, like we have 500.
30%.
Okay.
Now I told you that. Yes.
One more quick one, Jason.
I wouldn't have told him anything, so I got news for you.
Well, I've told everybody since the beginning, all of the stuff that we do, I get 30% to put in the compensation plan.
Is
That's what
the
it is.
burn buying from the decks an integral part
Yeah.
of that thing, or theoretically could you do that from exchanges directly?
The reason
Okay.
we don't
So I would actually get more value for the ecosystem by taking it to exchanges. A lot of times we actually buy on PancakeSwap for higher prices than the exchanges, because by buying all of it on PancakeSwap, it actually spikes the price on PancakeSwap, because it's kind of the teeter-totter, how much liquidity is there, how much tokens there. And if we're buying it all over PancakeSwap, then what happens is the PancakeSwap actually raises, and then what happens is behind the scenes, you have a bunch of people that get to take advantage. Feel free to do this if you want. You go to the exchange and say, look, it's at $10 on PancakeSwap, but I can buy it for $9.50 over here, or it's $15 on PancakeSwap, but I can buy it for $14.50 on the exchange. If I took it to the exchanges, the one major problem is you would have no idea what I'm buying. The decentralized exchanges and being in true blockchain actually gives more transparency to the network. I believe that has a value proposition that's worth us paying a little bit more for that token to make sure that when I say we burnt $2 billion in token, if anybody wanted to go run an Excel spreadsheet and download that, we went and bought $2 billion in token. If I take it to an exchange, I can say, oh, I bought $2 billion in token. The price never moved. You didn't really know it. I took it from Treasury and burned it. You wouldn't have any idea where this token's coming from. By using the decentralized exchanges, it makes everything public. There is no secrets in crypto. Bottom line is having those track records. It takes a little bit of understanding it to dig it. It's there.
Sir, I have one doubt. Now, just you told that that license will mine for lifetime,
Yes.
and we have limited supply. Just for an example, 2 trillion. Every year, it's getting 50% burn. So there will be some point will come where that license will mine only 1,000 coins also.
Maybe a half of a coin. Maybe 0.001 coins a day, but it will mine forever, because then it just continues going down. The multiplying effect of how that'll deplete, it's well over 100 years before it gets down to 4 zeros and a 1. We have 8 decimal points on our token, so there's a lot of mining you can do on these things. So well over a lifetime. Okay. Okay.
We
Thank you.
can continue asking questions out there, but they need the room here. Okay. So if we can kind of vacate out there.
And
All right, guys.
problems we are facing means we are getting the license.